We got some dire Ubisoft news. Things are not looking good as both Just Dance 2023 and Mario plus Rabbids, that did get amazing reviews, still underperformed in terms of sales. They're now projecting a roughly $537 million loss for the financial year ending in March 2023, and Skull and Bones, that was planned for March 9th, has been delayed yet again. They also cancelled 3 games, so I want to go over what this all means, what the impact will be on titles like Assassin's Creed Mirage, and what else they got planned for the next 12 to 15 months, as they did confirm a new big secret game. Of course, if you are curious and at any point enjoy the video, then leaving a like would really help me out. Subscribe for more content like this, and let's go. I want to start with the core issue according to Ubisoft. So around 4 years ago, they decided that it's best to focus on their biggest brands to adapt them into long-lasting live games and also global brands. So basically launch them on mobile, for example, as well, next to console and PC, and also make movies and TV shows based on these franchises. And we now learned what these brands are that they want to focus on: Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, and The Division. Yes, no Watch Dogs, I said it many times, but really don't expect to see the franchise for at least 5 to 10 years. Now going back to the issue at hand, because the games from this investment phase have yet to be released, while our recent releases have not performed as well as expected. Of course, COVID did not help either, slowed everything down, but Ubisoft is basically saying, hey, we have these big plans that we think will work for these big IPs, but these projects are simply not ready yet, while the games we decided to make before this shift, like Riders Republic, Roller Champions, are not doing well at all. And I think the announcements during the Assassin's Creed Showcase are a perfect example of what Ubisoft wants for all their biggest franchises. So we have Infinity, which will be the platform moving forward, and from there you can access different Assassin's Creed experiences, including the modern day story. There will be a standalone multiplayer game, and the big mainline single player titles like Hexe and Red will be accessible via this sort of launcher as well. Next to that, they got the mobile game Assassin's Creed Jade that looks very promising in the recent gameplay that appeared online. This is an image from the game that was also shared online. It's basically Odyssey but on your phone. I got low-key hyped for this. Like, this is the plan for many of their franchises, that there's basically always something new releasing and that people can spend money on each year. But for Assassin's Creed, this should roll out at the end of 2024 at the earliest, because that is when Red is expected. Of course, we get Mirage before that in 2023, but that was first planned as a Valhalla DLC, so that's more the starter before we get the main course, which is Assassin's Creed Infinity. So things are not moving fast enough, they're not making a lot of money, so that's why they just announced an acceleration of this tactic, and how they mainly want to achieve that is by cancelling other games. So as you might know, they already cancelled 4 games back in July, including Splinter Cell VR and the Ghost Recon Frontline Battle Royale title, and now they announced the cancellation of 3 extra unannounced titles. And again, the reason for this is that these developers are then free to work on Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, or their Tom Clancy games instead. Like, that should be the focus, instead of trying new things that have a high chance of failing. What Ubisoft is saying, that right now, especially in this current economic environment, everyone got less money to spend, so they are more inclined to spend that money on things they know, instead of try out new IPs. And that's why the big brands are still doing really well and the major live service titles, while new IPs are kind of struggling. So while we don't know right now what these cancelled games are, I would not be surprised if it's things like Project Q, a third-person hero battle game that they quietly announced last year, or Project U, which was more a PvE-focused free-to-play shooter. So kind of things like that. Of course, the big Star Wars project is still in development and can be massive for Ubisoft. Beyond Good and Evil 2 still seems to be in the works from the latest updates I'm seeing. So I think it's mostly deep free-to-play experiments that they're dropping, although I can see them cancel Immortals 2. It also depends on how far along that already is. Like, these are the developers that also worked on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and many of those people are now on Assassin's Creed Red, so maybe Ubisoft will be like, hey, let's not work on Immortals, but focus more on Red instead, because that will of course be a way bigger title. Just speculation, like if we learn which titles are cancelled, I'll of course let you know here. One other thing that will likely shut down is Roller Champions, like I don't think there's sadly a place for that anymore. So yeah, things look dire, the stock also took a nosedive, it's now the lowest it has been since 2015, which is wild, but I do think they can turn this around and that things will probably look way different a year from now. So more on that in a second, because we quickly have to touch on Skull and Bones. That has been delayed once again, really, with now a release window for between April 2023 and June 2023. And the reason for this is that Ubisoft wants more time to market the game, to create awareness, and to also be able to balance and polish the experience based on feedback from the upcoming open beta, which is overall good, as usually these betas are too close to launch, so a lot of things won't be changed in time. But yeah, the fact remains that it will be hard for this game to succeed. At least Ubisoft does not seem to be giving up, and will try to make this a thing. Now luckily, beyond Skull and Bones, things are looking brighter. So the titles we know are coming between April 2023 and March 2024, which is Ubisoft's next financial year, are Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, likely at the end of 2023. Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is rumored for August, although as said before, I can see them push it even more until like October or November, which is the usual time for an AC title to launch. And they note that they have other yet to be announced premium games, including a large one, as well as promising free-to-play titles for some of our biggest brands. So real quick, those free-to-play titles are of course Division Heartland, Valiant, and some of the mobile games, including hopefully Assassin's Creed Jade, that looks quite far along in that leaked footage that I sadly can't share here. And by the way, go more in depth on each title Ubisoft has planned for the next 12 to 15 months in a video that I will link to in the video description. But yeah, the premium titles, so the one that you have to pay money for up front, include a large one, and that's of course interesting. And if we go back to the franchises that they plan to focus on, I think the only one that is realistically ready for a new big release is Ghost Recon. Breakpoint will turn 4 years old at the end of the year, and the game content director on that game has already been working as a game director on a new project for more than 3 years. We also had rumors about a new Ghost Recon game launching in 2023 as well, so I really think it's that, although I would not be surprised if they launch it in early 2024 to release in a less crowded time. The Crew 3 also seems to be ready, by the way, for a launch in the next 12 months. But yeah, especially Avatar and Mirage, I think, can already make the financial situation at Ubisoft look way better a year from now. The hype around the Avatar franchise after the Way of the Water movie is of course huge, so if they're able to deliver a solid open world game, which they of course have done multiple times in the past, then this could be massive. It will, by the way, be set in a region of Pandora that has not been explored in the films yet. And same of course for Assassin's Creed Mirage, like people are hungry for a traditional style Assassin's Creed game, so if they can deliver on that, then I think they're golden. But I also think Chris from GamesIndustry.biz with this tweet makes a great point. Like, Ubisoft is lacking that unlimited cash cow that EA, Activision, and Take-Two all have in FIFA, Call of Duty, NBA, or GTA Online. Like, these companies can release many titles that underperform, and they have, but they will still be fine because they got 1 or 2 games that will always make a huge profit. And Rainbow Six Siege is the closest that Ubisoft has to a game like that, but it's not as big as it was before and never has been as big as these franchises I just mentioned. So it makes sense for them to go into a direction where Assassin's Creed is a live service that is guaranteed to make $1 billion a year, so that when other projects fail, it doesn't matter, and this will also allow them to take more risks. Like right now they have to get to that point, so focus mostly on their biggest brands before they can hopefully one day try Watch Dogs again, or focus all of their effort on a big new IP. Yves Guillemot, the CEO, called the current sort of games they have in development the biggest pipeline in Ubisoft history in his email to staff, and said he's excited to share more at this year's E3 conference in June. So it seems that Ubisoft is back in full force at that biggest gaming convention, which takes place between June 13th and June 16th. As I said many times, I don't think we will hear more from this lineup before that point, so before E3, maybe at the end of May at the earliest. So really don't hold your breath for Mirage gameplay before that, sadly. Hope I'm wrong though, will at least be interesting to follow Ubisoft, and I will of course bring you all the news and coverage on Assassin's Creed, Avatar, and way more. So subscribe if you haven't already, a like on the video would really help me out, and click on the screen for that big video I did earlier, going more in depth on the games that Ubisoft has planned for 2023. For now, I'll speak to you soon, goodbye!